Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rock star direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jennie will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger.
Welcome back to another episode of Badass Direct Sales Mastery. I'm your host, your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger, helping you whip your business into shape. And I am ecstatic about our guest today. And the reason being is Cathy Christen was introduced to me through one of my previous guests, who I've also known for literally over 30 years at this point. You guys probably heard that episode with Matt Drink on. If you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it because he's amazingly brilliant. And when he was talking to his friend Cathy and he said, you know what, I think you and Jennie need to know each other. And he was not wrong. We had an amazing first conversation. And I said, I got to get you on the show. So let me tell you about Cathy. She is a serial entrepreneur, author, and executive coach with over 2 decades of experience helping leaders and business owners thrive in their careers without sacrificing what matters most. Y'all know exactly why we connected, right? As the co-founder of GoBundance Women and CEO of Elevated You Incorporated, Cathy specializes in creating smart systems, fostering strong team cultures, and empowering leaders to reclaim their time and lead with purpose. Known for her dynamic coaching and actionable strategies, she's passionate about helping others build a life they love while achieving lasting success. Cathy, welcome to the show.
Yay! I'm excited to be here. This is so fun to talk about. I mean, direct sales is my blood, 23 years now, and being able to help people really set up the right systems in place for themselves as top-level leaders or build the right teams around them is something I'm so passionate about, because I remember working my tush off, and hitting that wall 5 years later. I was crushing it business-wise, but personally, physically, emotionally, all the things. I was just like, this is awful. I have sacrificed so much. And it was that turning point that once I realized the power of team and empowering people and not being such a stubborn, thinking I'm better at this. I'm going to do this better. I'm going to do this better. And, switching the lens to being the best teacher of things is where I started duplicating myself, and things got real exciting. So I'm excited to chat.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, already there's so many things there to speak to, so, obviously you have a history in the world of direct sales and network marketing, and you're welcome to discuss the company name if you want to. It's totally up to you. I always leave that up because, I feel like it's in my world here, at least on the podcast, we are proud of what we do.
Oh yeah.
We are proud of where we came from. So we share those things, but I always leave it up to people if they want to share what company they were with. But I can say you have amazing experience in the world of direct sales and network marketing because you not only built your own team, but you got to the point where the company said, okay, you're going to help us run an entire region. And not just a little region, but something like the state of Texas or something.
A little bigger than some other ones.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Right. So that speaks to that. So let's dig in. How did you let's go to the beginning?
74 million in sales now.
Wow.
Pretty awesome. So that's pretty cool. I saw that the other day. I was like, oh, cool.
Right.
So
I mean,
you're put to 100 million before we retire.
Right. Because yeah, exactly. I mean, you're one of the few leaders that I've had on who's not only a, multi 6-figure, but 7-figure, and now you're pushing the 9 figures in sales, which is amazing for doing that. So how did you get introduced? Because if I remember correctly from our conversation, you started at a much younger age than I did.
Oh, yeah. So I started working with Cutco, and Cutco's direct sales, but still all network, right? All referral, all building. And when I found out about Cutco, I was actually 19, and I found a business card in the parking lot at my university that said student work, $10. And I was like, $10? I mean, back in 2002, like I'd do just about anything for $10 an hour. I was pretty pumped. And so I remember grabbing this card and running up to the computer lab because yes, back then we did not hold computers in our phone in our hand. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm like on the computer lab, like applying, and it's just so wild to think about. I'm like, this May will be 23 years ago that happened. And, I went in for an interview and found out that my school worked with the company. I was able to earn college credits. I was able to secure several scholarships. But at 19, from a low income household, growing up in a 2 bedroom, one bath apartment with 6 people, I made 22 grand in 2.5 months. Okay. And like,
Holy shnikes.
not sold, made. Like that was my profit.
Right.
And like that was life changing. I mean, that's almost what my mom made in a year when she was working as a secretary, So yeah, that right there like opened my eyes to the possibilities of sales. Like one, how exciting they were. It's a roller coaster, right? There's ups, downs, all arounds, but it's a damn fun ride. But
Yeah,
you
it
have
is.
to know it's a ride. But like I love that I got to control how much money I made, which was huge being young and coming from lower income. I love that I got to control my schedule. But it's a double-edged sword because it'll either control you unless you learn how to control it, right? And so that was a huge, awakening. And I was like, all right, if I do this right and I treat this like a business, which a lot of marketers don't do, they treat it like a hobby, but they do things. But if you treat it like a business, you have a schedule, you have set times every day, that you're making your calls, doing your follow-ups, doing your reach outs, posting on social, doing whatever you're doing, and you have the routine and you have the discipline, well, then you routinely have phenomenal paychecks.
Yeah.
But the
Right.
people who are like, oh, it's just so all over. And I'm like, yeah, you're gonna have great days, you're gonna have bad days for sure. But I know that if I do this every week and I complete, 20 appointments every week, 20 connections, like we're gonna be in a really good place. And according to the averages, at least this is gonna happen, and many times it was a lot more, right? Well, I mean, I could go so many I'm like, "Which way do we go?" So many
I
things
know. Well, the first thing that jumps out to me is what you addressed in there, which was, first of all, your age. You were
Mhm,
19. You were a college student, minority, low
mhm,
income household. Those are typically not the things that people are looking for
for
when
sure.
they are looking for a team member. So, like,
Mhm.
first thing that jumps out to me is quit judging people.
Yep. You gotta find who's hungry, because even the people that you think might be, like, the best people, they're lazy, they're not hungry, they're not trying, and so, like, I love working with people who have grit, who have something they're trying to prove or they're trying to get out of something, and, like, they're just gonna go make it happen, right? And, like, that's what I'm looking for is, like, do they have a track record of success? Like, are they someone that likes to achieve? Maybe they don't come from the best background, they don't have the best education. I sure as hell didn't have the best vocabulary when I started 23 years ago. I still stumble over words. But I was just like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to make it happen, and if there's an opportunity that can get me a ticket out of where I'm at and get me to where I want to be and allow cash and time and money freedom, right? Like that's what I was after. Like, I'm gonna make some moves and make it happen. And, I think that some of the middle, lower income people that have that desire to get out are some of your best workers because they do, wanna get the hell out of where they were, and they know what it looks like, and they can see what's on the other side, and they can taste it, and they now have a vehicle to get there, and, like, you just need to coach them on how to ride that thing.
Oh, y'all rewind that, listen to it again. That was like golden nuggets dropped right there at your feet, right? How to find someone who, because the biggest complaint I hear from leaders is my team isn't working or a majority of my team isn't working, right?
Ooh,
Like,
and I'd love to speak to that in a bit. Keep
yeah,
going.
right. It's my team isn't working, a majority of my team isn't working. And it's like, well, who'd you bring in?
Mhm.
Are
Yeah.
they hungry? Are you coaching them? Are like they don't like it when I'm like, well, what did you do?
Yeah.
And I'm
Mhm.
not doing it in a judgmental way, but I'm asking the questions to be like, well, who are you bringing in?
Mhm.
How are you pre-qualifying, right?
Mhm.
And again, there's a difference between prejudging and pre-qualifying,
Right.
right?
Totally.
Now, luckily someone did not judge you,
Mm-hmm.
but you went to an interview. And that's one thing that I know Cutco has locked in
Mm-hmm.
and
And
why they're so
and right when you
successful.
start, like the first consultation within 4 days on the job, this to me is what made the biggest difference in my business, which
Mhm.
is a Cutco practice. I took it to another level in what I did in it, but it is like preached when you work with Cutco that when a new representative starts, they have a personal consultation within 4 days, within their first 4 days on the job. Cool.
Right.
It's like a staple. Steal it if you want, people. But within their first week, and it's a check-in. How are they feeling? What are they feeling good about? Right? Like, what are the areas of opportunity or, pain points? Right. And my manager literally was like, what do you love about the job? Right. What do you not like about the job? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, that felt weird to say. He's like, you can say anything. And I was like, probably making phone calls. Like, yeah, nobody likes phones. He's like,
Yeah.
but, and I remember him telling me, he's like, you want to look at the phone like it's this ATM machine. And the more buttons you press, the more money comes out. And I was like, I like that. And he knew I like money. But that consultation was about, so why are you working? Right. It's different than a job interview and, oh, I want to get experience and all that. Great, great, great. But now it's like legit, like, what are you working towards? Like, what is that money for? It's not just money. And so this
Mhm.
is a big thing. And this is actually what my book's all about. Because when I dig in with people and, as was done to me, and that's how I learned it, it's learning about when they're, oh, I want money. Well, for what? And why is that important? Right. And so for me, it's that 3 whys test and getting deeper in terms of what's actually motivating them, because that's how you're going to get them to work. And like, oh, go make calls. Oh, I don't want to, And like, I remember in my book, I talk about one of my clients. So she had her business and she's like, and she like didn't like making phone calls and whatever. And I said, in one of her dreams, and we'll get back to this because I want to talk about like
Mhm.
dreams lists and all that,
Yeah.
was to take her family on a vacation to Europe. And I was like, cool, what do you think that would take financially to do that? And we broke everything down and we came up with the number of $5,000. I'm like, okay, what would it take? She's like, I just don't know when I'm going to have that extra. I'm like, what would that take? I was like, would you be excited if you did that a year from now? She's like, are you kidding me? I'd be excited if I did it within the next 5 years. I go, let's look at a year. And I said, if you did that 5 years from now, in 1 year from now, $5,000 in addition to what you're currently doing. And we sat down and broke it down. And it basically broke down to her making 20 phone calls a day. If she did that, she was going to at least make an extra five. And she actually
Mhm.
ended up earning $12,000 extra with this plan, by the way. And I said, now every time you make a phone call, it's not just, oh, I don't, it's like every call, like I've got to make 20 calls a day. And if I do that, I'm going to Europe with my family in a year. And when they made that call, it wasn't just a call, it was one step closer to Europe. It was another step closer to Europe. It was another, boom, I hit my number for today. Now let's go tomorrow. And so there was a different connection to the work they were doing because it was based on where that work was taking them. And a lot of leaders
Mm.
don't take the time to dig in and really get to know the inner wiring of your people. What are they working towards, or what are they working away from? What motivates them? How are they best managed? Some people need a tough coach, and they're like, come on, and they need that. They want that. They desire that actually. And
Yeah.
some people need the cheerleader coach. I'm like, you got this. Come on. Yay. And they need that. And I ask people in that consultation, how are you best managed? Or do you think you're more like cheerleader? Let's go, all positive. Yay. Or you're like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you got more on you. What's going on? Da, da, da. Are you more like football coach? Like, what style? And some
Right.
people, they're like kind of a combo. I'm like, cool. But like knowing what they like, because
Yeah.
I remember a female and a male very, very vividly in my mind. And my female, others on my team were trying to manage her like cheerleader style and do crap. Wasn't motivated at all, whatever. And, but I said, what are you guys doing? I said, she likes tough coach. They're like, what? And she was like, this like kind of like, you'd think she'd want the cheerleader style, like very
Yeah.
prissy, very beautiful, and I'm like, no, she's like, she is so competitive and she's a person that like, if you tell her she can't do something, she's going to get it done. So I was like, hey, and I'm not going to say her name, but I was like, hey, I said, what's the deal? I'm like, you can't get this done. I'm like, too hard for you. I'm like, all right, I'm going to have somebody else go out and I'm like, I need someone to represent on stage at the nail sales competition. And obviously you don't have the discipline or the motivation or the grit to get this done. So who else is going to step up and represent for us? And she was like, what? I could do it. I don't know. She went out and sold $14,000 that week. Okay. And crushed everybody. All right. And they were like, isn't that mean? I'm like, that's how she has told, like, again, I have permission. I've had a conversation, I know that that is how she is motivated. Now, this guy right here, naturally, I think some people think, oh, masculine, like tough. Like he actually, that would tear him up. If I said, what, I bet you can't do, or like, you can't handle this, da, 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 he would probably crawl into a ball and start crying. That would absolutely tear him apart. Okay. He was verbally abused young. That is not motivating. It's completely like, it just, no. And so for him, it's like, dude, you've got this. Like, you are so smart. You are so capable. You have all these tools. Like, I believe in you. Like, I know you can get this done. He's like, yeah, okay. And he went out and crushed it. Right. And so, like, you've got to understand that everybody is so different, and I started integrated into my practice, into my, we're in a whole other level now, but into my team. And when I was first recruiting and as a younger recruiter, I started incorporating love languages test to know how people felt loved. I started incorporating different personality tests. I used one called Core Values Index, which I love. I think for sales, it's one of the easiest because it's like 4 quadrants. We're made of all of them. One person is like, go get shit done. One person's like people person. One person's like back end banker, all the facts. This one's innovator and creator. And knowing when you're coaching them or teaching them scripts, right? Because one of the things that helps you master any direct sales position is know your damn scripts, like know your fundamentals, right? And but some people, if you're like going through every detail in the script, they're like, you lose them because they're a builder, and they're like, give me the script, let me go, right? It's like, do this, 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 they're ready to go. But then if you did that to a banker, they'd be like, you are the most irresponsible trainer. I do not have all the details yet. I do not know everything yet. Yes, you have handed me a script, but like, I have so many questions. Right?
Yes.
And so like understanding like these things. And so I highly recommend, if you've never heard of Core Values Index, buy the book, check it out. CVI assessment. So simple, so easy. And you can tell by how someone to ask questions, you don't even have to have them take the test. You can tell so easily, like once you know that. But educate yourself. You want to be a great leader. You want to build great teams. You got to educate yourself on how to manage people properly, because sales is a high turnover anyway. But when you get good at it, and I'll say, Jennie, one of the things I'm most proud of is I had some of the highest retention, like period, in our industry, right? Like my people stuck around for years, and people are like, how do you get these people to stay around? I was like, well, one, I know who they are and why they're working. I know what motivates them. They want to save up for this. They want to buy a house. They want to send their kid to college, or they're trying to pay off this, or they want to get a boob implant. That was one of my girls, right? Whatever. Yep. Doesn't matter. That's what was motivating her. She freaking worked her ass off. So whatever it is, I'm like, I know who they are. I know what's exciting to them. Second, I know how they like to be managed, right? Third, I've dove in and really made sure they have a good list. That's another thing that a lot of times superiors don't dig in as much, is like helping them curate a larger list of initial contacts when someone's getting started, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And because if they feel good, they have people to call and they have a plan, they're going to succeed, And so digging in and going, okay, what's your list look like, right? Okay, how do we get it to 100? I always like to have a hot 100 list, but how do we grow that? And giving them tools and resources and showing them how to grow that list. And lastly, which I just mentioned, is making sure they have a good schedule, right? So that they can get it all done. So, okay, cool. You work a 9 to 5. Maybe they have this as a side gig. Some people it's a side gig. Some people it's full time, right? So, okay, 9 to 5. Then you have stuff, dinner with the kids. Okay, whatever. Okay, so when are we putting in 5 hours a week for this? Okay, this one night, 1 hour, we're going to make calls. Okay, here where you can do some appointments, and we're blocking it off so they have that time set aside to get it done, right? Or the full timers really need more help with their schedule, guys, because most human beings, you give them an open schedule, you're like, they're going to do so much. They're going to do jack shit if they don't have structure.
Yes. Amen. Amen. So, preach.
That's the next thing is like, okay, like, let's actually get a structure. What are all the things you need to do? Because like, oh, well, I had to go do this. Tell me everything. Like, you work out? That's important to you. Great. You go to church. You volunteer with this. Okay, great. You got to pick up kids, drop off kids. Okay, great. What else? What else? What else? What else? What are all the things you need to do for your life and business to run? And let's make a plan for that, right? And then making sure that everything is in the schedule, because that's how you're going to start learning disciplines, like follow the schedule. But oh no, but I had to do this. Well, that should have been in the schedule. Like go into the pickup mail, go like all of the things, like
yes.
everything.
Yes. Like,
Sorry, I've been talking for a long time.
I love this because it still amazes me when I run into people who do not live and die by their digital calendar. Like right now, I'm sitting here on a computer with two screens. On the other screen is my calendar all the time. So I always know what's coming up next. If I go, oh, I need to do a thing. Guess what?
And if you don't have your digital next to you and you have your paper next to you, you're like me, the old lady.
Right.
But I always have my calendar.
Well, and the reason I ended up switching, because I used to be a paper planner person, like back in the day, was, when I was working a corporate teaching job. So I was working someplace, I was working for someone else. And so I had the planner and I would carry it back and forth between work and home. And that was how I kept track of everything. And this was also pre-digital calendars, right? But I'm also very ADHD. Paper doesn't ding.
No, I plan on paper. I take a picture, give it to my assistant. They put it on my Google Calendar so I can get all the reminders.
Yep, exactly. Right. Well, and I realized that for me, that extra step, too much. So I just, at one point, and I will tell you exactly when it was, I was pregnant with my now 12-year-old. And my pregnancy brain, like, I felt like an idiot. I was forgetting stuff left and right. It was insane. And so that's when I was like, I need something to ding at me. I need something that's going to wake my brain up and be like, oh, hey, and that's when I realized that there was this thing called Google Calendar. So that was
it's
13 years ago, right? And so for me, I live and die by what's on my calendar. And what's so cool nowadays is there's now an artificial intelligence calendar where you can put in your to-do list. It'll look at your Google Calendar and it'll say, okay, so you want to do blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I'm about to change your life, girl. You tell it your to-do list. It looks at your calendar and goes, oh, looks like you have time to do this activity because that probably will take 10, 15 minutes. So I'm going to stick it in that little 15-minute time slot that you have open. And then if you don't tell the thing that you did it, it moves it to another time slot for you until you get it done.
It's just incredible, the stuff we have today.
I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard of in my entire life. So if y'all want to know what that is, reach out to me. I'll tell you, Cathy, I'll tell you what it is offline because I'm going to get my affiliate link for this shiz because it was a life changer for me, right?
That's amazing.
I think you're absolutely right. If people aren't having conversations with their team member to say, what are you doing? Because what they're doing is saying, are you working your business? Mm-hmm. That is a very different question than what are you doing?
Yep. It's what and when. Like, I want to know what they're doing and when is that happening? Because sometimes too, I've had someone like, oh, I called through my 30 calls, but I didn't reach anyone or I reached one. What time did you do it? 3 p.m. Not prime time. People are either at work or moms are picking up kids from school. Not an ideal time to be calling through, but you can catch people whenever, but there are better times. We know that before 9 a.m., 7 to 9 a.m., Monday through Friday, I catch people. Lunchtime is a good time where you catch a lot of peak. And then after 6, once people are home with the kids, right? And so knowing like a better use to sit down and do 30 calls, I would probably do it like at 11:30 a.m., then at 3 p.m. you'll catch more, and so you can dissect your people's business a little better, leaders, and help them, make sure that they're maximizing the ROI on the time they're putting in by making sure that the task they're doing is at the best time to get the biggest ROI, right?
Yeah. And ultimately it comes down to know your audience, right? You got to know your people. Because yes, if you're calling moms, do not call during school drop off or pickup. Because she's just going to look at her phone and go, no.
Right. That's so huge.
So, and I think that is so freaking important. But, of course, people who are listening to this could not see me celebrating when you were talking about how well you knew your people. Because, again, back when I was active in my business, I had a 3-inch binder. Right? Because when I had a new team member come on, whether I directly brought them in or as soon as I found out that someone recruited somebody, I sent them this little form and said, hey, welcome to the team. I'm so excited that you're with us. I would like to know some things about you. So that way, when we chat, when we talk, whatever, and I would email them the form, they'd fill it out, they'd send it back to me. Right. Yep. And one of the things it had on there was, what's your love language? What's your favorite food? Like, if I were
Yep.
to reward you with a gift card to a restaurant, what are your favorite restaurants? Like, I just wanted to know different things. Like, how do you like to be rewarded? Are you an atta girl kind of person, or do you want like a high five? Or like, it was all based around love languages.
Yep. I
I
love it.
could tell by the way they answered things, like, oh, she's an atta girl. She's a words of affirmation person, right? Like,
Mhm.
if they were like, there's nothing you could say that's going to get me to do anything. Like, meh, they obviously weren't that person, right? But high
Yep.
five, hell yeah, I want a high five. I want a hug when we meet in person.
Yep.
All right, I got a physical touch, girl. Yes, right. I was
Yep.
so excited when you're talking about that because I think that's a really important piece to know about your people.
Yep.
Ah,
Yep.
and
So they
nowadays,
feel, loved and appreciated, right? And it's so huge going through that. And as you were saying that, I'm like, oh yeah, when they come to training, we had a get to know you sheet, right? And so we had all those like places of interest, places you've traveled, like just things about them. And then once we did that consultation, it's like, hey, let's dig in. Like what right now, like this job, I know I saw that, you're excited about experience or whatever. I'm like, what for? And then, oh, I
yeah,
want to get blank job or I want to do this or I want to do that. And I'm like, and what is that going to do for you? Like, what is that going to do for your family? Like,
mhm,
what first inspired that goal for you of like being a doctor or doing this or, because some people are just trying to save up cash, for something else. Great. But what is it that sparked that and finding out like the deeper why behind that? And all of a sudden they're like, when I was younger, my aunt passed away because da 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 da, and nobody could help with this. And like, I really want to do this. And so I want to be able to get money. And you're like, whoa, like that means something
yeah,
that will motivate them to take action because they actually have something they care about. If there's not a deep enough why, they won't work. So why are people not working? Well, they're probably not really nothing. There's nothing driving them, and you don't know the carrot to dangle that's going to motivate them to make them take steps.
right.
So dig in and find out. So why are you here? And if they've lost track, hey, why did you first come to blank company? What is it that you were after?
Yeah.
And what have you gained or what have you learned so far? And, what else would you be excited about gaining during your time here before your time is over? Or is this a place where you'd be excited to possibly continue moving up and maybe leading others and finding that out, right? Because some people, they've just never even no one's ever seen their ability to lead, or maybe they've just been told, you're dumb, you're this, you can't do this, you can't do that. And all of a sudden you're like, I think you'd be an incredible leader. I'm like, have you ever thought about leading teams or have you ever had experience? You're like, well, not really. And like, no one's ever looked at them that way. They've never looked at themselves that way. And so
Mhm.
you're pouring your belief into your people. And it's unbelievable what can happen when you do that. Like, I had a girl who's now ran 2 franchises for us, 2 offices, she's a top rep. And this was a quiet, introverted girl that you might have I don't know that I would have ever been like, "Oh, she's gonna be," because some people you could look at them, you're like, "Oh my god, they're gonna be like a top,
Yeah, that
leader,
person's a rock
like a
star.
huge team," right? No, quiet, introvert, whatever. But for her, as we're like I had asked her once, like, "So what," because she went into our leadership training program to run her own franchise. And I said, "What inspired you? Like, what excited you? Like, do you want to have your own business one day? Like, is this a stepping stone to get these foundations?" And she looked at me and said, like, "I've never really been in leadership. My manager just thought I could be a good leader. I don't know what he sees in me, but, he's helped me grow so much." And it was through borrowing her manager's confidence. And then she went through this program super scared and then went out and did it. And it was one of our top performers and came back and trained again with a whole different level of confidence and energy, went out and did it again. And then now is training as one of our top Cutco sales professionals to just sell for a living, right? And it's
Oh,
just so cool to see that. And this is someone that might have quit in their first, couple months, like not the outgoing go-getter, whatever, just more quiet, more shy. But because someone was like, I think you'd be a great leader. And she's like, really? And she's like, no one's ever said that to me. And it was like a place where people could see more in her than she saw in herself. And they helped get that out of her. And I think that's what we get to do in this business. Like we get to really, we know like that anybody can grow. Yes, there's the natural spot, but the best leaders, the best coaches know how to take that rock and pull the diamond out of it, right? Like they know how to do that. And I think that's the most rewarding part of being a leader because the more and more you do that and the more stories and the more people you get to impact, like not only is it just so filling for the soul, but it's just you're gonna see it everywhere else. Like your business gonna grow, your finance gonna grow, whatever. But like I love seeing that process in people.
oh. I love this so freaking much. Like, I just made my little heart thing at you because, like, that is absolutely the most rewarding part for me in leadership is when you get to have that conversation with somebody and share with them something that you see in them. And to you, you're just sharing something that you see in them. And they're like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, like that is
Write
so
this phrase
amazing.
down. Every single manager, leader, anyone who wants to build a team, write the phrase down. Have you ever thought about ... That's it.
Yeah.
You just plant the seed and you can keep watering it later. But that first, like, hey, have you ever thought about having your team? Have you ever thought about being at blank level? Have you ever thought about, and they're like, not really, or yeah. What? And I'm like, do you know what it would take? If they've said, yeah, they've thought about it, then I'm like, if they haven't, I'm like, you should think about that. And I just let it be right there on that first like seed plant, right? And
Yes.
later it's like, so have you thought more about what I said? And they're like, yeah, I wanted to know about, and now they're like, help me get a path on how I'm going to get to advisor or to senior advisor or to, whatever the next promotion is. Because you got them thinking about it, Or have you ever thought about being a team lead? Be like, I'm looking for partners to build with. I'm like, I think you'd be great. And just like leave it there and see what they say. And, so it's like point out, like find reasons, like find the things you see in people as to why they could be so successful. Is it that they take amazing notes and they're such a great learner? Is it that they're so good with follow-ups? Is it that they have this like really joyous, energy and personality? Is it whatever? Everybody has something, even the quiet ones, right? Those are the ones I'm like, you just seem like you just love to learn. And I love that you're putting yourself in a position that might be a little uncomfortable for your personality, right? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, but I love that you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone because that's where the growth happens. You don't grow in your comfort zone, right? You grow out of it. And so I just want to commend you because a lot of people that are more quiet introverts wouldn't try a direct sales position, because
Hmm.
that's not for them. But instead, you're like, no, I want to get more confident and more comfortable interacting with people. I want to build my interpersonal skills. I want to build my self confidence. And here you are putting yourself in a place that's totally out of your comfort zone. And I just want to say, yay, you, right? Like, find, like, pour into your people and make sure that they know what you see in them because it's unbelievable when nourished the right way what things can grow into.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, this is so phenomenal. I could keep talking to you forever, but the two big things that stand out for me in this, and we started on the systems and processes and
Oh,
then
which I didn't even get to talk about all the
got
stuff I want
into,
to talk
I
about.
know, right? But that's okay because, the conversation went where it went. Because I think both pieces are important pieces for leaders,
Mhm.
right? If you don't have people following you, are you really a leader, right? Right? Yes, you're the leader of yourself as long as you're following yourself, right? But I think those are two important pieces in the success puzzle, right? Which is the systems and the people. And one of the things that you and I talked about before I hit record on this episode was one of the most important or one of the most popular pieces that you have that you share with people is a time hack activity and
Mhm.
something that you do. In fact, it's still something that you do yourself. You told me you're doing it this weekend. So, what is
Mhm.
it that you're offering to the badass crew if they're
Oh my god.
interested in looking at their systems?
Yes, yes, yes. So I have just, it's an exercise that I do with every client that I've worked with, every direct sales professional that wanted to move up. And when you're feeling an overwhelm, it's an easy way to get at least 5, if not 10 or more of hours of your week back. And so sitting down and getting organized. And so you'll see it'll walk step by step, but a process of just seeing everything you need for your business and life to run, looking at it into buckets, into what is it that only you can really do, right? What could someone that's trained and works side by side with you help take off your plate? What can be automated or delegated? What can be sent overseas? And what can be, a mentee or someone who's loyal, positive, and coachable? And so it'll walk through, but it's a really great way to get organized because you cannot scale alone. Like you cannot. And so as you keep moving up and you start building a team, you need to make sure that one, knowing the type of team you need, two, making sure things are delegated properly so that you're focusing on the things that move the needle at the highest rate, but then also having duplicatable systems so that others can assist you or can train and be just like you, right? You can clone yourself with new leaders on your team because you've taken time to document and have duplicatable systems.
Awesome. And so this is called the Elevated Entrepreneur Time Hack. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, first of all, the Badass crew, they're listening right now. They all just got really excited because if they're badass, you want to elevate. And we are entrepreneurs. This is amazing. So we're going to put the link so that people can access this into the show notes, guys, because it's one of those big long links that we're not going to bother trying to say the whole thing out, right? So if you want the time hack, and this is absolutely complimentary, y'all, right? This is a gift she is giving to you because this is something an activity she does herself, something she does with every single one of her clients. So we're going to put the link in the show notes. So, of course, my badass crew, they already know how to get to the show notes and episode notes or description of the YouTube. But just in case there's someone here listening for the very first time, all you have to do is grab your phone, as long as you're not driving, click on the episode that we're looking at, you're listening to right now, scroll under Cathy's wonderful, beautiful picture, and you'll see the show notes or episode notes. Or if you're on YouTube, of course, the description is right down there. And you'll see the Elevated Entrepreneur Time Hack link that you can grab and go do now. So are you going to do it? Yes or no? And if your answer is yes, just stop what you're doing right now. Folding laundry, cooking, working out, grab your phone and go do it and block it in your phone, in your calendar, or if you have a paper planner. When are you going to look at her gift? When are you going to read it? When are you going to watch it? When are you going to implement it? Just like Cathy said, what are you going to do and when? I mean, hello. That is so awesome. So, Cathy, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for being here. I really hope people go do this because, hello.
Well, those who do, you will be so grateful. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And this has been brilliant. And I'm so excited to also have you on the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Leadership Summit. So those of you who were like, this was amazing. We did even more. Get on the summit, right? Get yourself on that summit. It's happening March 27th and 28th of 2025. And if you're listening to this and you're like, oh my God, it already happened, reach out to me. I'll give you access. I'll find a way to get you in so that you can see not just Cathy, but all 15 other speakers. No, we'll find a way. There's always a way, right? That, we sell recordings later. It's all good, right? Like if you thought this was valuable for free, imagine what she's going to talk about when there's a ticket associated with it, y'all. We are going to go deep. It's going to be great. I am so freaking excited. So Cathy, this has been amazing. I am so excited that Matt Drinkon introduced us. I already thanked him after our first conversation. I'm going to thank him again when this episode goes live, because you are brilliant, beautiful, and wonderful in all the ways. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, love.
Absolutely. And of course, Badass Crew, you know how this goes. Stay tuned because there's another badass episode on its way.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.